Hi, I'm Alex from E2 Language. It is 2020 and there have been some changes to the IELTS listening test. So in this video, I want to share with you those changes and give you 4 tips for the IELTS listening test. Let's talk about the IELTS listening changes in 2020. These changes came into effect at the start of January and they only apply to the paper-delivered version of the listening test. However, it just means that now the computer-delivered test and the paper-delivered test are more in line with each other. And there have been 3 changes. The first one is about the name of the sections or the name of the parts. What were previously called sections are now called parts. So on this old practice test, notice it says section 1. In the new test, this will say part 1. So instead of 4 sections, the IELTS listening test now has 4 parts. The other change is that there will be no reference to page numbers. So the audio will never say on page 3 and the text won't say refer to the questions on page 4, for example. And the final change is that there will be no example question. I should clarify here, you will still see an example, but you will not hear the audio twice as you used to. So on your test paper, you'll still see an example question and an example answer, but the audio will only be played once. This is a small change, but it is fairly important because some of you may have used that time to be reading ahead section 1, section 2, part 1, part 2. So now just be aware that there's a little bit less time for that pre-reading. Test day tips for IELTS listening. I want to share with you 4 test day tips for IELTS listening, and these tips apply whether you're doing it on the computer or on paper. Tip 1, read ahead. During the test, computer and paper delivered, you get lots of little breaks. So often the audio will say, now take 30 seconds to check your answers, or now look at questions 5 to 10, for example. Whenever you have a break, 30 seconds or 1 minute, don't go backwards. Don't go and check your answers. They're finished, it's over. Look ahead. So always try to read ahead. The more you can read, the better prepared you'll be. So tip 1, read ahead. Look forward, don't look back. Tip 2, highlight. If you are doing the computer-delivered test, there's this great little highlight function. So as you're reading, you can highlight on the screen the keywords or the words that you think are important. If you're doing the paper-delivered test, depending on your test center, you'll have a pen or a pencil, and you should use that to underline or circle or draw stars or whatever next to the questions as you read them. Try to keep those keywords in your mind. Writing on your paper and highlighting also just helps to keep your brain active so that you're not just sitting there staring at question 1 and waiting. So tip 2, highlight. Tip 3, don't leave empty answers. If you leave an empty answer in IELTS listening, you'll get 0 for that question. There's no danger in having a guess. So if you have no idea what the blank should be or whether it's A, B, or C, just have a wild guess. It's better to guess than leave it empty. Tip 4, concentrate. So how do you focus during the test? Well, sit up straight, take some deep breaths, maybe have a stretch, try and get that oxygen up to your brain where it's needed. Someone once told me to also tap yourself on the head, and I find that quite effective as well. Before your test, building up your stamina when it comes to concentration is also a really important thing to work on. We live in a world full of distractions, your computer, your phone, your friends, your workmates. Everywhere you go, your mind is distracted. We're losing that art of complete concentration and focus. How do you do it? How do you build up concentration stamina? That is a topic for another video, but for now, perhaps you can share with me in the chat box below, what do you do to maintain concentration when preparing for your test? If you want some help preparing for your test, come along and study with us. It's much more fun than studying all by yourself. We have daily live classes with a teacher leading the way. We have heaps of self-access material, feedback, tutorials, and lots more. We are here to help you pass this test. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and we'll see you soon at e2language.com.